So what's the best way to talk to an atheist? Well, the first thing to remember is never, under any circumstances, enter into a formal debate, me against you. There are times when we need to explain things, but the key, especially if this is a friend, a family, or someone close to you, is to enter into a story or a narrative. And here's what I mean. You want to listen to their life story. If someone became an atheist, that's a big deal. That's like making a conversion to a different religion. It's a lifestyle choice. And probably as you listen to their story, there's going to be certain factors that led to them becoming an atheist. And you, as a listener, using your ears, want to hear their story and identify those points of conflict that they had with a religious tradition. As you listen to them, and the best way to do that is ask questions, and don't jump and don't start using all your new apologetics that you learned from NSTI, but listen very carefully. You will begin to hear that they came into conflict with certain teachings, or more likely, certain people. Conflict with a priest, a minister, a pastor, a parent, a friend. Something happened in their past that prompted them to begin to think, well, what if God isn't real? Also, it's probably associated with a religious tradition that they grew up in or converted to at some point. So, for example, let's say they were Christian Scientists. Christian Scientists believe that you should not seek medical help. If you have cancer, don't go to a doctor, don't get chemo, etc. There are certain people in the Christian Scientist tradition who have watched loved ones, parents or siblings, die because they did not receive medical care. This, of course, spoils their faith, and they turn away from God. They think, how could this happen? I trusted you, God, to heal my loved one, and it didn't happen. So you need to be listening for those cues. As you listen, don't be quick to judge, but just listen to the story. And your job, as coming alongside them, is to help them see carefully that their rebellion or their rejection of a certain person or a certain religious tradition is not necessarily a rejection of God himself. And by the way, it may be that they don't come from some weird, cult or weird Protestant sect. They may actually have been Catholic and had a terrible experience or had terrible teaching. What you want to do is listen for that and show them that as they move along in their journey of life, maybe what they're upset about or rejecting isn't God himself, but a certain person, scenario, or situation. Okay, so that's the key. Now, what's wonderful about converts who move from atheism back to Christianity, or specifically Catholicism, is they often describe it as a surprise. And we can think here of the great convert of the 1900s, C.S. Lewis. He was an atheist. He was hardened by the war. He'd been in this world war. He had seen death and destruction. It hardened his heart, and he thought, how could there be a God in such a world as this? But he was surprised by the joy of being a believer in Christ. It was a surprise. He was a reluctant convert, but as he moved along, he saw that what he was rejecting wasn't God himself, but a certain situation. And this is, I think, the most effective means of bringing someone from unbelief to faith or back to faith. And we need to remember that God is bigger than anything that we can imagine. And God can exceed our imagination and all of our expectations. And God, I believe, likes to reveal himself in a surprising way to those who reject him. And we read those kind of stories all the way through church history so we can have confidence. So again, the best way to talk to an atheist is enter into a conversation, hear their story, hear their narrative, help them to make distinctions, and then, of course, pray and ask God that he will bring about this big surprise. So there's some fun in this, and also just some charity and love and mercy as we come along and walk alongside these people who have lost their faith in God. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. God bless.